Get a sponsorship ad gently teased into the earphones of 100,000 plus highly engaged listeners, both within this show and promoting our partnership across Acast's other hit podcast. The Noise Next Door will even get creative and make your ad for you. Contact us through this app or via producerpool.co.uk and we'll tell you more.
Today on Fantasy 5, it's cops versus robbers. This is the podcast where we, the Noise Next Door, and today's special guest, Jim Campbell, create five-a-side football teams using characters from fiction, history, and real life. We then see these teams battle it out on the pitch to see who will be crowned victorious. I'm Robin, and I am joined by Matt, and we are this week's pundits.
That's right, we'll be providing some criticism and insight into the managers' lineups. Later, we'll be in charge of the highlights from today's fixture.
So today, our managers from the Noise Next Door, we've got boring old Sam Pagelli. It's just Sam, but the big news is we've got a special guest. It's Jim Campbell from the Football Ramble. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
I should probably point out at this point, I'm going to wince a fair amount in this show because I did fall into a canal at the weekend, bruising some ribs. So just if at any point I seem to sort of go, ugh, it's because of that. So just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I found out about all this sorry tale this morning, and frankly, I've not thought about anything else since I found out that it happened. So I do need considerably more detail. Tell us how this came to be.
So yeah, it was obviously alcohol was involved. I was hanging out with a friend who had a friend with a houseboat, and they were like, "Do you want to see the houseboat and have some drinks at the houseboat?" And we were like, "Yeah, let's do that." And then, as I was leaving the houseboat, I think I just sort of. Maybe it's the arrogance of the landlubber, but I forgot about looking where I was going, basically, and I took a step as if I did, like you do on the road or in your house, like when you're not on a boat, leaving a boat, and then suddenly I was no longer on a boat. I was in a canal. It was all very horrible. I was very wet. Although I was quite lucky in that I didn't go fully in. I didn't get anything in my mouth, so I got off pretty lightly. And yeah, I mean, if I could do everything again, I probably wouldn't fall in the canal. But ultimately, I did fall in a canal. So,
yeah, good. Well, it sounds like your body's taking a battering, but there's no risk of Lyme's disease because nothing went in your mouth. So that's really the highlight of this story.
Exactly.
Good. Well, listen, tell us, what team are you managing today, Jim?
So I have a team of robbers.
You certainly do. And Sam, he's not boring, really. He's here. He's our opposing manager. We just hear from him quite often. Sam, who are you managing today?
It's everyone's favourite non-corrupt government agency. It's the police.
Oh, guys, it's gonna be a really strong episode. Now, this is the section where normally we do a quick spoiler warning, but I don't think there's anything to spoil.
Oh, there is, Robin.
Oh, is there some?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Well, if you're not massively familiar with the world of cops and robbers, then there's going to be some big spoilers, particularly about the police, coming from Sam. Also, please head over to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever it is you get your podcast. Review us if you can. Give us 5 lovely stars and follow the podcast so you can hear every episode every single week. Now, without further ado, starting with our special guest, let's hear those Fantasy Fives. So, Jim, starting with you, we're going to come to you're the home team here, the robbers. Tell us, what's your Fantasy 5, Jim?
So, I haven't actually named the team, which is a shocking oversight, I realise now. But I think, obviously, there's quite a lot of characters in this, and you don't want to sort of like, I don't know, you don't want to put anyone specifically in charge because it will lead to some tension, but at the same time, you do need to have a captain, ideally, in a team. So,
agree.
I am going to go with a man called Edward Teach, known more widely as Blackbeard.
Ooh.
Because, I mean, if you're looking at robbers, I mean, why not go full pirate, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, pirates are one of those things where you kind of find, sometimes you stop yourself going like, were pirates real? Or was it mostly just like completely exaggerated and made up? Are they more fiction than fact? And apparently, the idea we have of pirates is largely based on Blackbeard, to the point where like he actually buried treasure and everything, and he kept little like lit fuses in his beard. I think they were called slow matches. So they were these fuses that would just like burn really, really slowly. And he just had them in his beard to scare enemies. And I think if you're trying to tackle someone with like a a flaming beard, you are really probably going to keep your distance from that person, and that gives them a huge advantage, especially in five-a-side where space is tight. And apparently he wasn't actually that violent. He just made people think he was violent to get what he wanted. Because pirates were actually weirdly egalitarian, I think. Were like sort of within their own. So yeah, but he's going to be my captain, just like marauding around, just winning tackles because people are so scared of him boarding, which is effectively what he will be doing. His beard's sort of a bit on fire, but you're not sure because you don't want to get close to it because it's sort of a bit on fire. So
it feels very on brand for you at the moment, Jim. Obviously, as a nautical man yourself with the canal boat, your captain being a nautical man feels great. Where in the park are you placing him? What's his position going to be?
Well, I've made perhaps a controversial decision regarding the goalkeeper, which I imagine you've had before, which is I'm going to do a rotating goalkeeper because you don't want to miss out on the attributes of everybody.
I tell you what, this is a first. It's fine.
Really?
It's fine, but it's a first. I don't think we've had a rotating goalkeeper before. I'm buzzing. Okay.
You know what? I'm glad you said it's okay because I wouldn't want to have to be the guy to tell these guys that it wasn't okay. Because they're all quite hard in most cases. So yeah, I'm going to do the rotating goalkeeper, but I think Blackbeard's, you can have him in the middle of the park. Really,
okay.
He's going to be. You want your captain in the middle because they can gel it all together. They can bark orders. They can just keep things together. Everyone's aware of what's going on. So yeah, generally he's going to be sort of in central midfield, I would say.
That's good. And he's not going to wear out his little periscope either. He'll be able to see things a lot. If he's in the middle, he's getting
actually,
the best.
Do you mean telescope? I way prefer a periscope though.
Well, wait, which one's the... Because, like, a telescope, that's, like, for the stars and stuff. Is it a pirate?
Yeah, it's still a telescope. A periscope's the one on a submarine, but I prefer it. Like, I way would rather he had one of those with him. I think that's going to look way funnier.
If they existed at the time, he'd have one. A pirate submarine. Oh, God, imagine. I guess we don't know that they didn't have them, but maybe we do. Maybe we
just going along the canals of London, seeing Jim Campbell's body floating by. It would be beautiful. Lovely, yeah. I'm not going to let it go. It's the best news. It was the funniest thing I've heard all week. So.
I mean, well... If this is who I am now, Robin, like I'm just whatever ambitions I may have had, they're gone, aren't they? I'm the man who fell in a canal, and it's quite liberating in a way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
At least you have an identity now. You know what your thing is.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm dry. Which is something. Most people that have recently fallen into canals can't say that. So Blackbeard he's going to be my my captain, my guy.
Tremendous.
Who else you got?
So. My next guy, I mean, I know I'm talking to some sort of pretty serious badasses here, but my next guy was such a badass, they created the FBI to catch him. Now, I don't know how much you know about the story of John Dillinger, but there was a movie made about him, Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, which I actually haven't seen because apparently it doesn't tell the story with a lot of detail. But I read a biography about him, and this guy was absolutely unbelievable. So he was a career bank robber, and he was just exceptional at it. Just robbing banks was his thing. I mean, to the point where he robbed 4 police stations. Because it sort of got so easy for him. Like him and his gang, it was like their job. They just like do over a couple of banks a week. And they were kind of pretty invincible and pretty untouchable because they just stole better equipment than the police had and just kind of gave them the runaround all the time. There's a point he was actually captured in this little small town, and he was put into this local jail. And he managed to escape by sticking up this sort of elderly guard as he was closing the prison doors, and he just walked him around, pointing a gun at him, and one by one, almost like a stealth game, like a stealth video game, he gradually snuck up on enough of the sort of staff of the police station that he put them all in jail. He put them all in cells, locked them all into individual cells, and then he went around the jail specifically showing off the fact that the gun was actually just a piece of soap that he'd carved into the shape of a gun. Then he deliberately stole the car of the sheriff who arrested him to use as a final fuck you as the getaway car. Like, the guy was an artist. Like, the guy was absolutely incredible. After he died, I think his body might have been put on public display, and there was a rumour that he had like a sort of gigantic penis. And like even in death, like apparently women were fascinated by him, and like a lot of people was like sort of on his side, even though he could steal their actual money at any point, because that was sort of what he did. And I'm just absolutely fascinated by the balls on the man.
His public death display was naked?
Well, no, but you would think, yeah.
Fully clothed, but with the flies undone.
There was a picture, actually. There was a picture of him where there was some sort of protrusion, which I think gave rise to the myth that he had like a 7-foot tall penis or whatever it was. And I think it came from that.
It's difficult for us. It is.
Yeah.
It just wasn't all the soap that he was keeping to make all the guns.
It was almost certainly a fake penis, actually. I mean, the guy had previous. The guy had pretty much every type of previous you could imagine, and so he only actually killed one person. And I know one person is far too many. Let's be honest. I'm not denying
It's more
that.
than I've killed.
Yeah, exactly. But it was in a shootout with a police officer with return fire, and he was always really proud of that. And he was like, "Yeah, but you still killed a guy, John. It's not. You're not perhaps as honourable as you're making out here. You're not really the Robin Hood type, because you're stealing from you're stealing from people who've got money in banks and giving to you. It's really you're not like you're not this Robin Hood figure that he was made out to be. But the kind of ridiculous high profile that he created, and the way that he still managed to kind of get away with stuff was incredible. And I think he'd be like a ghost on the pitch. He's my all-rounder, I think. Actually, on the pitch, you kind of have him anyway. You need someone like that in five-a-side that can dip in and out. And I think I'd have him. I think I'd start him off. You know what? I'm going to start him up front because it's got a lot of pizzazz. You know, and he's a lethal finisher, as we know. Exactly, a lot of flair, and also I think he's most likely to kick off if he's not played up front.
Yeah, sure. Inspired shout for a robbers team versus cops as well. He mugged off like he's the only person he's actually killed is a policeman. So it's a great shout for a policeman team. You know, I'd worry how he would do against, you know, another gangsters team or the army, because the army, you know, he got caught by the FBI. Did he get caught by the FBI, or did they kill him?
He was killed in the end. Yeah, he was shot. They had to sort of like, you know, go nuclear on him. It was a famous sting, actually. There was a woman he went on a date to a cinema with a woman who wore a red dress so they'd be identifiable, and they shot him all to hell outside that cinema, I believe. But it's been a while since I read the book. I'm pretty sure those details are...
So what you're saying there, Jim, is very accurate shots from the cops. I just want to get that right.
Yeah, I think if you've got anyone FBI related in your team, it is a point of pride for them to bring this guy down, because they only exist because of that. Imagine that. Like the FBI they were started because of a bloke, because of a single guy. It's just astonishing, absolutely astonishing. So yeah, I can imagine that adds a bit of spice having him in the team, because they have got to win.
Yeah, I reckon. You said that they were identified by the red dress in the cinema. I reckon it was actually that they were doing the old popcorn trick, where they, you know, cut a hole at the bottom of the popcorn and his knob's gone through it, and it's 9 foot tall and it's blocking the screen. They know exactly where he is. It's like a telegraph pole. Great.
That can only be Dillinger, see?
Yeah.
And also, I assume he speaks like that, which is just fun for everybody, right? Everyone likes the old time he speaks.
Exactly. And also, you said that he was sort of stealing from people to give to himself, which is true. But then he dies, and he creates the FBI, which has created work for thousands of Americans the year round, you know, for years now. So I don't know. I think he's got a claim as a charity. Certainly a claim that he might be a charity. Okay, so that's two of your picks. Who else have you got?
So my next one is a little bit out of left field. It's Top Cat. Because Top Cat is a con artist. He's a con man, and I don't think we spend enough time talking about just how funny that is for such a sort of beloved cartoon. He's a thief. Like, he's not a good guy. He's got this little band of like orphaned cats that he's turned into a life of crime. He spends all of his days deliberately mugging off this particular man that's just trying to do his job. Like, he's a smart-ass criminal con man cat. in a cool waistcoat and Federer, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, again, he's mugging off a policeman. Like, there's a real theme here. And I would say that, it's always the policeman. It's always the police doing the chasing, isn't it? They eventually they catch, but it's always them doing the chasing. And I think that's what we're seeing emerging here. How do you think Top Cat is going to work alongside the likes of Blackbeard? Is that going to be a problem? Is he going to be scared of the fire?
Well, I think the three men from very different men, two men and one cartoon cat from very different eras. They're gonna have I think Dillinger and Blackbeard are gonna have enough trouble getting their heads around each other, let alone this animated feline that suddenly they've got to play alongside. So I think, I don't think they're going to gel immediately, but I think with the common goal of mugging off the law and presumably escaping to their freedom, right? There's probably a bit of an escape to victory vibe to this. Like, you've got to win this game and then get out of town pretty quickly because, we are criminals and these are all policemen. So I think Top Cat, one thing we know about him is he's very lazy, isn't he? He will cut corners at every opportunity. So I think he's hanging back in defence, to be honest, quite a lot. He'd probably go in goal quite a bit voluntarily as well, because you have to move the least, in theory. So I reckon, I think he would try and cut corners. He'd have his little gang off on some harebrained scheme elsewhere, which, to be honest, I think Dillinger would probably be doing as well. Many local banks are getting knocked off while this is happening. Top Cat, I think
it's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, he's quite wily as well, isn't he? Like, Top Cat would win a lot of free kicks and stuff that he absolutely did not deserve. There'd be a lot of what's known in the world of football as shithousery, where just sort of just bending the rules quite a lot, play acting, diving, just straight up lying. I think he'd be quite a useful asset in that regard.
Yeah. You're also part of the Fantasy 5 rules, which we established early on, is you are allowed a prop, an accessory for your characters. So if you want, we will allow you to have the bin he lives in. That can come with him and be in goal with him if you want. If you think it'd be useful, he can have the bin on one side of the goal and he can stand the other side. That's absolutely fine. It's just an option. You can have it if you'd like.
Yeah, I think you'd have it in the bin and maybe lay down in it for penalties, which, let's be honest, these guys would be conceding a lot of.
Yeah. All right, Top Cat, there we go. Who else?
So up next, I have a lady called Mary Frith. And this woman was absolutely astonishing. I only discovered her when looking into my team for this, and she was like a real gender rebel. So she lived between 1584 and 1689 in London, and she was just known for being this absolute kind of wild card. She dressed as a man just because she liked it. And back then, that was scandalous. It was absolutely outrageous, almost probably illegal as well. And someone bet her that she wouldn't ride a horse across London dressed as a man. And she's like, "Yeah, I'll take your money." The whole time I was like, "I dress as a man anyway." And so she was a cut purse, which is so many kind of criminals from the past had such specific crimes they committed, but a cut purse is literally someone who would cut open the purses of people and just take all the money out of it. And she made so much money from this that she had 3 full-time maids. She bred mastiffs, obviously, because you probably want a quite hard dog around if you're a career criminal. And she kept parrots as well, so she was a real eccentric. But she made a lot of money from this, and she even performed on stage. And she played the lute and bantered with the audience. It's a bit like the Noise Next Door if they were one specific criminal woman in the 1500s or 1600s, probably realistically.
I was going to say, it's pretty similar, yeah.
And so she was just this absolute genuine maverick, and I think you've got to have a maverick in your team, and she's someone that would clearly again, I'd probably have her in defence because she sounds like she was quite an aggressive woman, and you want that. You want somebody sort of holding the rear guard like that. So yeah, Mary Frith is the 4th member of my team, and genuinely just a very interesting historical figure as well, because she simply would not conform to what was expected of a woman, because she wanted to dress like a man. She preferred it, so she did, and the consequence, she would. Anyone who tried to deliver the consequences for that to her would suffer their own consequences pretty quickly. So yes, absolutely fascinating woman.
Amazing. Okay. The only worry I have with Mary is obviously she can't travel with either the Mastiffs or the Parrots for Top Cat, because Top Cat's either running from one or chasing the other. So we've got to be careful what she brings.
Well, he'll probably trick them in some way, won't he?
That's true. That's true.
Because he's so wily. They'll end up doing stuff for him without realising they're doing that, because he is, let's not forget, a con man.
above all.
I guess she can bring... Her accessory can be her purse-cutting blades, which I assume, protrude Wolverine-like from her hands or underneath her sleeves.
Yeah,
just whip out.
implants. I love it. All right, listen, we're going on to your fifth and final pick. Yeah, I've been thinking about it for ages.
So
Who we got?
Very good, very good. So I know that within the armoury of cops, you have quite a lot of impressive specimens that you could bring out, quite powerful specimens that you could use. So I've tried to have a really, really overpowered player, and that is the Titan Prometheus, he who stole fire from the gods and gave it to man. Because I need something beyond a hard man here. And also, let's be honest, they're a set of bastards, my team. And Prometheus was known for not only just being intelligent, which is useful on a football pitch, but also for being a sort of champion of humanity. And he is credited with developing both arts and the sciences. So he's a god, isn't he? He's a god. So I think that sort of offsets John Dillinger going, I only killed one guy. I'm a real stand-up guy. So John, you killed a man. You killed a man, John. You can't keep plumbing that narrative. Doesn't matter how big you told everyone your penis is. It's not all right. So Prometheus is in there to sort of to balance that out a little bit as well, and just add a bit of fear factor. I mean, Zeus did lash him to a rock and have like a bird peck out his liver every single day, and then it would grow back at night, and then the bird would come back and do it all over again. But he was eventually freed from that rock. So to make it clear, this is post that. He's not just on the pitch chained to a rock having his liver pecked out. That'd be horrible.
Okay, that's good. But that sounds like a man who can, take a tackle and walk and get up after.
Yeah, and just set whoever tackled him on fire, because he can. It's for him to dish that out, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's true. I've been thinking about this while you've been speaking, and I would put money on Prometheus having a bigger dick than John Dillinger. I reckon. He's half god. So I reckon that's taken one of John's two main strengths away from him, is the size and strength of his tackle. Good.
Again, this is probably really why you want Dillinger up front. You want to keep him away from these sort of arguments. He might get a bit annoyed. And
with his back to the rest
turn
of his
on
team.
each other.
So Prometheus, where in the pitch are you playing him?
So Prometheus is in midfield alongside Blackbeard. I can't believe I'm saying this sort of sentence with such a straight face, but yeah, that's so you got Top Cat and Frith.
That's perfect, because if Prometheus can create fire and Blackbeard needs to keep his beer ignited, then you've got a perfect double up there.
Oh, actually, yeah, he might not even need the matches, and also he'd probably be presumably massive, so probably quite useful in goal.
Presumably, if he's half god, he can probably sort of change. Also, again, with the props, you can bring the boulder he was lashed to, so you can just put that in goal and you don't need to worry about it for the whole game. Bit of a pain when it comes to changing halves, but we've been there before, so I'm sure we can think of something, a digger, or we can lash it to the top of a cop car, which John Dillinger can steal and drive it to the other side. There are ways around that, I think, routes out of it.
So am I allowed a sub as well? I did have an extra person I wanted to talk about.
Of course you're allowed a sub.
So you need a bit of pace from the bench, don't you? I think even in five-a-side, that's important. So I've gone for a guy called Claude Duval, who was he was from French nobility, but he decided what he wanted to do with his life was become a highwayman. So he operated incredibly on what is nowadays Holloway Road, specifically. And he was known as being very gallant. He wouldn't actually ever hurt anyone. He'd just tie them up with presumably the threat of a pistol, which I don't know. I don't know how much comfort that is to people who've been robbed at gunpoint that they weren't actually shot. But again, he seemed to think this was a big thing. And if they had their wives with them, he'd make them sort of dance with them. He'd only take half of what he was going to steal if the lady would dance to something called the Courante with him, which there's a famous painting of him doing that with someone's wife. So he was eventually executed because you're an armed robber. Again, they've all got this idea of themselves as being these amazingly kind of upstanding people, haven't they? Apart from Top Cat,
who's a famous prick, and he knows it. He wasn't executed because he was a wife dancer.
So yeah, Duval is my is my substitute, and if I can have a club doctor, Indiana Jones, because lest we forget, man's a grave robber.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The one thing I'd say about Claude Duval, which sounds insane, is you said he operated just on the Holloway Road. That's terrible highwaymanning. Surely they just went, well, we'll just go there then. He's definitely going to be there.
Exactly. I think that is pretty much what happened. I mean, I don't think it was as built up as it is now. I don't think there were maybe as many chicken shops. The Emirates wasn't there back then.
Right. Okay.
That was way before the Emirates. But yeah, it seems incredible to me that London was ever like... I mean, I live in North London. I'm a 20-minute walk away from where this particular gallant highwayman operated. But yeah.
Well, there we go. All right, Jim, very quickly, just run us through the names of your Fantasy 5.
So my Fantasy 5-a-side team is Blackbeard, John Dillinger, Top Cat, Mary Frith, Prometheus, and on the bench, Claude Duval.
A strong Fantasy 5. And now we're moving over to the away team. It's the Cops.
A podcast from producerpaul.co.uk.
Our away team today, Cops. Sam is the manager. How you feeling, Sam? Tell us about your team.
I'm just so outrageously confident of defeating this mishmash. They haven't even got any positions. No leadership. Absolute garbage fest. I am so confident. And I'll tell you for why as well. Because my first pick is my central defender. Good luck, these fools, getting past Alex Murphy, designation OCP Crime Prevention Unit 001, otherwise known as RoboCop. I'd like to see a pirate trying to get past RoboCop, mate. He doesn't even know what a robot is. He's never even seen a toaster, let alone a RoboCop. Unbelievable scenes.
Has he ever arrested a god, though, Sam? Has he arrested a god?
A titan, actually. We'll move on. Listen, he's a cybernetically enhanced police officer. For starters, so he's got enhanced reflexes, speed, strength, visual capabilities. This is why he's in defence. He can see the pitch. He can see everything in front of him, and you can't get past him. His speed and strength. I'm looking at him as a kind of two words for you, Marcel Desailly type figure. But Marcel Desailly with guns. He's got loads of them. They're just part of him. They're not accessories. It's just that's like calling your feet or your hands accessories. They're not. It's just part of him. He's got a 9mm handgun, an assault cannon, a machine gun, a rocket launcher. He's got a flight pack. Good luck trying to beat him at a corner. A robot with a flight pack. All right, mate.
I mean, I've got to be honest, this pick does make Top Cat seem tremendously underpowered. It's got to be honest. Top Cat's got a trash can.
Can I just say, though, the first thing we all think about with RoboCop is, well, why don't they just shoot him in the face? That's the first thing Dillinger's going to think. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It will hurt, but it's not going to take him down as bad as it would just shooting a person in the face. Because it's
fair.
They've cybernetically enhanced all of his organs. There's not actually much left of his real human body. He's mostly robot, partly Alex Murphy.
Yeah. There's a little bit of him that I think still feels. Is there a risk that, he looks like a sort of big metal trash can? He's going to catch feelings for Top Cat's trash
Maybe.
can.
They're at opposite ends of the pitch. Although he does have perfect eyesight. And that's the other thing. He's very good. He's very good playing at night. He's got thermal vision, which is really good. He's got titanium laminated Kevlar armor, so he's very resilient to any challenges.
Just on the playing at night, thermal vision being really good, that's good for seeing where the other players are, but it's going to be utterly useless when finding the ball, isn't it?
It's not exclusively thermal vision. He can use that as well if he wants to.
Fair enough.
I mean,
that's like saying,
there are going to be floodlights, right?
No.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
as the referee for this game, there's no lights. That's unfortunate for everybody. I should have mentioned. Only there's one street light. Yeah, there's one street light, and it's the one that Top Cat's can is underneath. That's it, nothing else.
Very important points about RoboCop as well is that he has 4 directives which drive his very being. The first is his moral directive, which is to serve the public trust. So he's popular with the fans. We know this. It's literally part of him. His second directive is his ethical directive. He must exercise reverence for life. And we know that exercise, very important to be good at if you're playing football. But part of that is his duty to de-escalate and rescue. So that's why he's in defence. He's de-escalating, he's rescuing the team non-stop. His third is his legal directive, which is to uphold the law. So he's never getting booked.
Yeah,
he's never gonna put in a tackle that is too much for the ref, because he can't. It's his third directive. His fourth directive is, I'm afraid, it's classified. So.
Oh, we just can't know. Do you know what it is? As you haven't got to say, you haven't got to tell us, but do you know what the fourth directive is, or is that a potential curveball?
I do know what it is. No, I'll tell you. It's classified in the first movie. Later on, it does come out, and it's effectively it's not to harm his boss. I'm his boss. Losing would harm me. You can't lose. That's RoboCop. You might like it. You might not do. It's RoboCop.
It's RoboCop.
That's my central defender.
Well, holy shit. Yeah. Fair enough. It is RoboCop. He might get shot in the face. It's going to hurt him a little bit. That's about as bad as it's going to get. Good start.
I'll move on to midfield now. I've gone for a diamond formation. I've got two midfielders. So I've decided to put my players into positions like a good manager would. And in midfield, I'm starting with John McClane. I mean, nice. Come on, it's John McClane from Die Hard. He's obviously a badass. He's used to being thrust into the heat of the action. That's why he's in midfield. He is incredible at evading enemies. He takes on an entire terrorist organisation in that first movie on his own. What's it, like? And he tries to call for backup, and no one believes him. No one believes that this is happening. They just don't even help. So he just takes everyone down on his own. That's awesome.
It's pretty strong. Hopefully the rest of his team will believe he is playing a game today and want to join in.
I mean, also, if he cuts his feet up, it doesn't really seem to slow him down that much.
This is it. Well, we're saving money on boots. He's not wearing any shoes.
You know, he can though if he wants to. Or is that like his kryptonite? If he puts on shoes, it sucks dick.
I know he just chooses not to. He just doesn't. Although I think it's now a requirement that you have to wear boots when playing.
So RoboCop is wearing boots over the top of his robot feet.
Yes, that's correct.
Just to confirm. Okay, right, cool.
That is correct.
Johnny Diehard, though, he does wear shoes in the sequels, but maybe that's why the sequels aren't quite as good. It's the shoe element.
Yeah. Well, he's also. So he's an excellent shot as well. He's going to be a danger from set pieces, I think. He dispatches Gruber with a very precise effort in that, in the gun tape to his back moment. He's got a never say die attitude. He's going to win at all costs, and you need that. You need that in the middle of the park.
Also, as a divorced man, he probably really needs this. Do you know what I mean? His five-a-side team probably means a lot to him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all he's got.
Emotionally. So he's going to be really emotionally invested in this team. Yeah, okay. What organisation does John McClane work for? Do we know? Does he work for the LAPD or like a local police force?
No, he's a New York cop in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So he does not work for the FBI, is what we're saying. Interesting.
No.
That's going to be really interesting for John Dillinger, who doesn't give a shit about your local police forces, mate.
No, he doesn't. If anything, he'll go out of his way to rob the police station.
Yeah.
Which, let's not forget, he did 4 times.
Yeah.
Just a last note on McClane as well. Let's not forget that in Live Free or Die Hard, he shoots himself through the shoulder to kill a bad guy. So... that's what he's win at all costs.
Yeah, that was sweet.
He will shoot through other people to make sure that ball hits the target.
So in a football context, he would kick himself so hard that his foot would pass through and kick the ball.
In a weird way, I'm picturing him intentionally kicking the ball against the post so hard that it then goes through him and then into the opposition goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you don't want him in goal, because if he's letting things like bullets and stuff through his body, then a ball will go through easy.
He's porous, like a sponge, John McClane sponge.
And I wouldn't put him in goal either, because my goalkeeping choice, it's phenomenal. We'll move on to that in a minute. But before we get there, we've got to mention his midfield partner in crime, or not in crime, actually. Come on. Now you said there would be no spoilers, but this is a big spoiler warning. It's Rick Grimes from Walking Dead. Sheriff Rick Grimes. He was a cop. He was a cop before the apocalypse hit, and then he just kind of refused to uphold any law except for the ones that he decided upon from there on in. He's a leader. He's a leader, is Rick Grimes. And he's survived a zombie apocalypse for 10 years. This is the spoiler. He's alive. He doesn't die. Everyone else dies. He doesn't die. So he's a stamina monster. He's a stamina monster. He battles through injury non-stop. He's always getting shot. He's always getting launched off buildings. There's fires. But he just won't die. It's kind of annoying. Like, he becomes that kind of... Has anyone watched The Walking Dead?
Little bits.
Yeah.
I'm about 8 seasons in. I'm so glad he makes it. I think he's a really good choice. For one thing, in The Walking Dead, they are always so sweaty. It's obviously in a very hot part of America. It's very humid. So that man, for hour-long episodes of Walking Dead, he's just sweating constantly and keeps going. So a football match.
He's so annoyingly resilient. Like, if you're the zombies, you're like, oh god, this guy again. Which kind of does happen with the other people in the. He meets other types of groups and they just get really frustrated that he's still not dead. He keeps leading different groups of people as well. He finds himself in one group in Atlanta and he leads them. He finds himself on a farm. He's the leader of the farm. He's in a prison. He's in a town that he leads. He's a leader. He's going to be my captain, I think.
Does he keep moving because he mucks it up or presumably like zombies invade? I've not seen it, so presumably
yes, there's various reasons. Mainly zombie stuff. So this is a big spoiler, but they're in a prison. They're in the prison, and they've basically barricaded themselves. So it's like, hey, we're creating a community, and there's a prison inside. But then somebody else is jealous of all their stuff and basically launches an attack on them. And then there's also illness, because when somebody dies in Walking Dead, they become a zombie. So if you just die from natural causes or from whatever, you become a zombie. So that happens in the middle of their camp. And it is a nightmare. It's like, oh no, there's one inside. Yeah, they get done by that quite a lot. But it's never his. So it's very rarely his fault though. It's somebody else. Like somebody left a cage. Basically, in the prison, it was perfect because they could all go to sleep in the prison cells, lock the doors, so that if they did die, the zombie couldn't get out. But somebody doesn't lock their door and then they get out.
So the zombies can do handles. These aren't like cross zombies.
No, the door isn't locked. They just kind of move. No, they're a little bit more sentient than
okay.
Than your average zombie.
How far through a Rubik's Cube would they get?
Well, they'd probably just throw it.
Just bite it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's not that. Okay. Yeah. Just wanted to know. Okay.
Alongside John McClane, he's also a danger from set pieces because he's often shouting, "Carl! Carl!" He's got good spin on the ball. It's Curl. He's shouting Carl. Carl is his son, but he's shouting Curl, and he does it a lot.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. Yeah. Good. Love it. No accessories with Rick. You're not bringing a zombie for the fun of it.
We only need one thing.
Oh yeah,
it's his sheriff's hat.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty cool.
Ooh, he does.
He gives it to Carl, but Carl dies. So just gonna say it. We told you there's spoilers.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the striking position.
Yeah. All right then.
Yes, my strike. This was very difficult. It's like Jim said. There's a whole world of people out there that you kind of want, but you have to cut it down. And I thought I cut it down to the obvious answer, and the obvious answer is Chief Inspector Lee from Rush Hour. This is it's Jackie Chan. It's Jackie Chan. Have you ever seen Jackie Chan kick? That's all he can do. Kicking is important in football. He does loads of it.
It's the main bit.
It's exactly. And the most important thing, he does all of his own kicking. Like, you see, loads of people have stunt doubles in movies and stuff. Not Jackie Chan, not Chief Inspector Lee. No, he can do all of those things.
Yes, but having been, I would say, a connoisseur of the Rush Hour films, 1, 2, and 3, even though 3 is a little bit worse, at the end, there is always quite a lengthy sequence where they show all of the outtakes of him trying to do the stunts and, like, royally mucking it up. So he does end up doing his own. What I'm saying is it's not perfect first time, so are you willing to take that risk?
Well, no, that's Jackie Chan. Chief Inspector Lee gets it right every time.
Oh yeah.
He's a kung fu master, and he can. The important thing is he can strike with any part of his body. And we're saying that, like, sometimes we allow accessories, whatever is part of that character. For him, his accessory is the world. He can use any item to defeat you with. He does it all the time.
Not his hands, though, right? Let's clarify that.
Not his
hands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe not. But
no,
it doesn't matter.
not.
You can use anything else. Blade of grass. Snooker
A blade
cue?
of grass? No,
Yeah,
I want
this
you to
could be grass.
talk me through that. I want to see that. What's the tactic with a blade of grass?
He uses it as a ninja. What are they called? Death Star.
A
ninja
shuriken.
star.
Yeah.
Star. Yeah,
It throws it in your eye.
Ooh, grass
Grass
in your eye.
nightmare.
It's going down. I've got a terrible hay
That's
fever.
time
That
at the
would
bar,
stop
mate.
me in my tracks, to be fair. Yeah, all right. I will allow it.
I like this character as well. He's got no time for shenanigans. You know, he's just going to be striking that ball left, right, and centre. He's good at recovering the ball in the opposition area as well. For example, such as when he rescues close friend Sue Young from abduction.
Oh god, it's great. That is a really emotive moment. My favourite action films, I reckon, the Rush Hour films.
Yeah, so he's my striker. He's just always striking.
Strong
Strikers can't not strike.
It's good. Are you concerned that he won't be able to do last any like a full 90 minutes? What with him only ever be able to rush all that?
Well, interesting. I think that's a very valid point. Well, I've got a sub. I mean, maybe I could talk about my sub here. My sub striker
Yeah.
is Mike Lowry from Bad Boys. What are you going to
Yeah,
do?
another great shout.
What are you going to do when he comes for you?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? This guy, Mike Lowry, it's Will, played by Will Smith. He's recruited into the police academy at 19. Craziness. And then directly out of the academy.
The police academy. Oh, not the police academy. I see.
Oh,
What
no,
happened there.
sadly,
I don't
no, I
remember
didn't
that
include-
part of the movie.
I didn't include any of the characters from the police academy. I thought they'd be terrible players.
Yeah.
Terrible idea. But no, he's recruited to the police at 19 and then taken out of the academy as like a specialist by the chief of police to infiltrate a drug cartel at like 20. This guy is prestigious. That's huge beans. So since his teenage years, he's just been infiltrating defences. He's strong in dangerous areas, and he lives that football lifestyle as well. He likes fast cars and women and stuff. Everyone wants to be like Mike. They literally said it in the second movie.
And I'm glad you didn't pick Martin Lawrence, because he just spends the whole film not wanting to be a bad boy and then sort of accidentally being a bit of a bad boy.
Well, he also, you know, which World Cup was it where they weren't allowed the wags to come with them? He just would not respond to that well. He'd be like, oh no, my wife. He's always banging on about his wife.
Yeah.
Play football, mate.
Yeah, and
So
he
he's not
keeps
on the
threatening to retire as well. You'd have that hanging over you always. It'll be really annoying.
Yeah, I think he has been retiring since the first movie. Yeah.
Okay, Mike Lowry is a
he's
really,
on the
and
bench.
it will cover the remaining 30 minutes when Jackie Chan's having a sit down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's get to the last position then, goalkeeper.
You've really built this up, Sam. I'm very excited. I can see it in your little eyes.
Well, you were saying that our goalkeepers are always trees and spiders. You just said that, right?
Yeah, is it a tree or a spider?
Well, in goal for the Cops team, it's a Cops. It's a Cops. Good luck getting past about 75 trees. It's not going to happen.
Burn it down.
How?
Yeah, Prometheus.
How are you going to burn it down?
Yes.
That's a good point. All right, I've got a sub goalkeeper. My sub then. It's Dick Tracy. Remember Dick Tracy?
Nice. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Unsurprisingly, the youngest member on this call is looking very confused.
Yeah, my brain is saying Thunderbirds. Is that right?
No. No, Dick Tracy was
He was a sort of it's like a noir comic, wasn't it? I suppose.
yeah,
Probably
he's
the
like
best way
a
of putting it.
exactly.
Like a gumshoe.
Dime store comic.
Exactly. He's a comic strip police officer, dressed in yellow. You might recognise it. He dressed in. There was a really good Nintendo game, or was it a Sega Master System game, of him just in yellow, and he's got a really cool hat. Smokes a lot.
It's kind of what Jim Carrey in The Mask is going for.
Yes, exactly. There we are. That's a reference that
That's
Robert
what
will
he's dressed as,
understand.
Guys, it is the Tracy family in Thunderbirds. This is where I've just Googled it. Jeff Tracy,
yes, of course.
Scott Tracy, Alan Tracy,
Yeah, that's true.
but no Dick Tracy. Fair enough.
There's no dicks in Thunderbirds.
No, all the Dick is with James Dillinger. John Dillinger. That's who it's with. James
Dillinger.
So Dick Tracy, why is he in goal? Well, before he was in a police officer, he was in the Navy. And what is the Navy but sea police? And he was a diver. His job was a diver. And goalkeepers dive. They have to.
Yeah.
They have to dive to get the ball. That's why he's in there.
Yeah. And diving underwater.
And he can borrow Blackbeard's periscope.
Yeah, like diving underwater is hard, isn't it? There's a lot of resistance. So if that's where you've trained, you'd probably be really sprightly on dry land.
Yeah,
That's
true.
true.
A good point. It's like high altitude training, but the opposite.
All right. Okay.
Big thing he used to do, he loved it. He used to disguise himself. He had loads of different disguises, often disguising himself as a robber. So the robbers, they're just going to be passing to him all the time. Quick, there's a striker with an open goal. Pass to him. No. Whips it off, yellow coat, bam, it's the goalkeeper. Might only work once, but maybe they won't fall for it a huge amount of times. But it's a tactic.
It's better than a copse of trees. I will allow that because listen.
Sure.
At the moment, I'm planting up my garden. It's spring. I'm just planting up the garden. And one thing I found from Google is you can't plant loads of things too close together because they steal each other's sunlight and water, and then they'll all die. Pretty much, none of them will grow. They'll all die. So unless you've got sort of 50 years ahead of time to plant your copse, which you don't because you're the away team. So your first choice was.
No, I'm going to play Dick Tracy. I've decided.
Have you? Okay, good.
Dick Tracy. Yeah. I mean, he literally. This is the other thing. This is the other reason he's in goal. He literally prevents attacks. He prevents like terrorist attacks and stuff. And I just. This isn't massively relevant to football, but I just needed to tell you some of the people whose attacks he has thwarted, because this makes me want to read Dick Tracy because this is the name. These are the names of some of his enemies. Pig E Bank. That's the name of a terrorist. Prune Face, The Brow, Mumbles, Flat Top, Big Boy, and Mrs. Prune Face.
They sound like the local characters from an East End pub, don't they? The sort of people that would make you play pool with them.
Oh, don't play with Prune Face.
Big important bit as well. He's friends with billionaire Diet Smith, who just gives him gadgets all the time. So if I'm including stuff, he has an air car, which is just a one-man hovering vehicle thing, so he can just fly about the goal if he's trying to get up to the top corner. That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
When was Dick Tracy set? Because it was like a
40s,
like
initially in the 40s, and then
flying
just
car.
exactly. And then kept going like up to the 70s and stuff. It went for ages.
Early science fiction was just obsessed with us having flying cars, weren't they? Just like utterly obsessed.
Yeah.
They couldn't think outside. Like, do you remember the Jetsons? Flying cars. Dick Tracy, flying car. Just flying cars. That's all they want for us. Flying cars. Idiots.
It's good. Jetsons flying cars. You know why that is so
True. Yeah.
That's my team on the pitch. Just a quick word on my backroom staff. I just think it's going to be so strong. Head coach is Poirot. I mean, come on, this guy is he's a tactical genius. He's also only ever failed one case. He's only ever lost one match in his entire career. That is a hell of a record. And I thought also next to him, I'm going to have like a little two-man coaching team. Frank Serpico. You might know he's a real cop, played by Al Pacino in the film Serpico, and he spoke out. He's like the first police officer to speak out about the kind of systemic corruption in the police force and stuff. So he's going to be keeping us honest, and that's very important. Just a little word as well, maybe about halftime music.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of music, obviously from Sting. Obviously, we've got a little bit of music from Sting. And also Elvis Presley. Because I don't know if you know this, but Elvis loved the police, so much so that he was made an honorary cop in Denver and Memphis.
Honorary cop?
Yeah.
God, I mean, that...
Do you get an honorary gun with that? Is that...
Yeah.
Yeah, and an honorary uniform. And he was known to wear that uniform just in public to avoid being recognised, which is hilarious. Because surely, if you saw Elvis in a uniform, you wouldn't go, "That's a cop." You'd go, "That's Elvis as a police officer."
Also, like, if a crime happens, is he not like obligated to step in?
Yeah. Well, he probably would have done. He was also like I don't know if he got black belt, but he was like a brown belt karate as well. He probably would have just stepped in.
Big Steven Seagal vibe going on with Elvis. Not something I expected to discover.
He went to Richard Nixon, met him so that he could ask for an FBI badge. That happened in a film, and I watched it. Can I remember if he got one at the end? No, I can't remember the end of the film. But the whole film was about Elvis
There you
going
go.
to Richard Nixon and asking.
Dillinger would probably have loads of those that he'd nicked off FBI agents. Could help him right
just
out.
borrow one off.
Well, listen, nobody saw us being Elvis during a Cops team, but here we are. Sam, can you just talk us through, finally, your final Fantasy 5?
I can. In goal, we've plumped for Dick Tracy for obvious reasons. In centre-back, it's RoboCop. In the midfield, we've got John McClane and Rick Grimes. And up front, it's Chief Inspector Lee from Rush Hour.
I love it. Let's go to the pre-match thoughts and feelings. So we know the two teams. Jim, how do you feel your chances are against Sam's Cops team?
I think I've got a lot of variation in that team, and I think they might just pull off a victory.
It's not as confident as I thought you were going to be. We haven't covered. Jim, you're the home team. Where are we playing today?
So we're going to play at the Emirates Stadium because it's just down the road from me. It's on Holloway Road, and obviously Claude Duval doesn't like to go anywhere else. So,
He won't leave.
just want to make sure he turns up.
I also like that its proximity to your actual house has played into your mind there. Yeah, okay.
I'm like Top Cat. I'm fundamentally very lazy.
Lovely. Sam, Cops, how you feeling?
I'm so powerfully confident. Every single one of these players is caught and defeated by an enforcement agency, potentially with the exclusion of Top Cat. So I'm most worried about Top Cat.
Well, there we have it. It's time for us to head to the pitch for kickoff. And here we are, a sunny day at the Emirates Stadium on Holloway Road, mere seconds from manager Jim Campbell's house share with local highwayman Claude Duval.
Extra security today as it's a classic rivalry renewed and things could get feisty. Looks like all of the ITV's The Bill are helping out, as well as the Dillinger gang.
RoboCop and Blackbeard both in the centre staring at the ball. I think Blackbeard hasn't realised that it's his kickoff. Hopefully RoboCop will let him know.
Your move, creep.
Ooh, harsh language from RoboCop there.
Oh, my ears! There's absolutely no need for language like that.
Oh, and we're off.
The Cops team must be feeling nervous playing against Top Cat.
He's the most effectual, who's intellectual, he's the boss, he's a VIP, he's championship, he's the most tip-top.
Top Cat.
Not sure how they're going to play against a player with such pedigree.
John McClane just on a bus on his way from Hounslow.
Yes, turns out he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Blackbeard's beard is looking especially scary just now, as it's lit fuses. It's really smoking.
RoboCop will not stand for that. His famous directive number 3 to uphold the law is coming into effect, and he has produced a fire extinguisher from one of his robot cavities and is now putting out Blackbeard's beard.
Ooh, he's giving him a 70 quid fine, reduced to 35 if paid within 14 days. For smoking inside the ground, if he wants to do that, he'll have to use one of the designated areas.
Both John McClane and Dick Tracy are surreptitiously putting out their cigarettes. Top Cat is on the ball, and he completes a beautiful spin, but is dispossessed by RoboCop, who begins to run towards the home goal.
But Blackbeard also has the ball. I don't understand. And Top Cat smashes it away past Dick Tracy. It's 1-0 Robbers.
RoboCop feeling foolish now, as it turns out the ball he was running with was just a hairball coughed up by Top Cat, cleverly hidden in the spin to disguise his pass to Blackbeard.
A classic Top Cat con. Dick Tracy being challenged in goal here by John Dillinger.
And just to be clear, Matt, it's not a footballing challenge.
No, indeed, just a willy measuring challenge. The height of Dick Tracy versus the height of Dillinger's soapy skin sword.
Mary Frith desperate to join in and be one of the boys, but sadly, on this occasion, coming up short. A break in play as a pigeon has flown onto the pitch and is pecking at Prometheus's liver like a stale crisp on the floor.
Top Cat has ordered his gang of cats to rip the bird apart, which the cats do with gleeful abandon. And we're back underway. And that's the half-time whistle. Sting making his way to the pitch for the half-time music, opening with Fields of Gold, and then he'll probably do some of his other songs which everyone will definitely know the names of.
And the second half is off. Chief Inspector Lee is tying up Mary Frith with her collection of gentlemen's lounge trousers and has completely let through Dillinger, who has smuggled in a goal like it was a case of Prohibition-era whiskey.
Dick Tracy in goal was too busy breaking the fourth wall and telling the audience how much he wants to clean up those good-for-nothing hoodlums.
And that is 2-0. Blackbeard has completely abandoned the fixture and is in the Cops goal furiously digging. Everyone else is still playing, not really paying him any attention at all.
He's dug up an old weathered chest. He's going through it, and amongst the doubloons is an Adidas 2020 Uniforma Top Capitano ball.
It's a goal. The ball is over the line, and unbelievably, it's 3-0 to the Robbers. 60 minutes into this gripping fixture, and Chief Inspector Lee is on the ball.
No, he's stopped, completely stopped, and is now sitting down on the floor, refusing to rush for even one more minute past the hour.
Well, it's an unexpected sub as Mike Lowry comes onto the pitch and is immediately on the ball, and why not? Oh, he's had a goal, and it's a beautiful goal for the Cops.
Oh, he scores on the pitch, he scores in the bedroom. This is why everyone wants to be like Mike.
Surely just a consolation goal, as it's still 3-1 to the Robbers. I can see the Cops backroom staff member Serpico is being quizzed on the characters of his favourite 90s sitcom. He's named Joey, Monica and Phoebe, but I can't name any more.
The manager looking disappointed now and telling him you never know who your friends are.
Rick Grimes with a free kick now. He's whipped it into the box. Oh, it's got some Carl on it. McLean jumps yippee-hi-yay and his header is into the top bins.
Oh, but no! Oh, it's Top Cat's bin! What a save from the lackadaisical feline.
Prometheus to Mary Frith. Mary Frith to Top Cat. Top Cat to Blackbeard. Some lovely build-up play here.
Blackbeard to Mike Lowry. Oh no, a terrible communication breakdown there as Blackbeard passes to Mike, believing him to be a fellow bad boy.
Yeah, and now the Robbers are insisting that Mike Lowry changes his entire branding, so we are very pleased to introduce you to Mike Lowry, who is now one half of brand new cop duo, the Really Good Boys. Dick Tracy with an easy save from Blackbeard. He's used to dealing with enemies with dumb names.
That's pretty rich for a guy named after a copied sketch of a penis.
Blackbeard is coming off, and being subbed on is Claude Duval.
Claude heads straight to John McClane and gestures to the stands. Oh, it's John's wife, Holly, who comes on and begins dancing with Claude in the middle of the pitch.
Well, that is going to infuriate McLean.
But no! It was all a distraction as Prometheus sprints past McLean and puts some of his stolen fire into his shot and sends a scorcher flying past Dick Tracy into the top right corner.
4-1 to the Robbers. Claude bows to Holly McLean, who swoons in the face of pure devilish handsomeness.
And that's it. It's going to end 4-1.
But wait a sec, the referee has signalled that VAR is intervening. They seem to be checking every single one of the Robbers' goals.
Incredible scenes. As ever, a ridiculous delay from the tech that nobody likes.
And it appears as though every goal for the home team is being scrapped off. Yes, on the video review, the first goal, the ball that hit the net, was actually one of Top Cat's fur balls.
The second, it seems as though Dillinger also smuggled in a counterfeit ball, and the third, Blackbeard goal, was a completely different ball as well.
And as for the fourth goal, Prometheus's fire burnt the ball to a crisp before it even reached the line.
And we do know that the whole ball has to cross the line.
But little bits of the ball were floating around in the smoky air.
The ref signals that VAR have reviewed and the score is officially altered.
Well, justice is served as the Cops come out on top of this hotly contested clash.
The Robbers fought the law and the law won. 0.
Jim, you were robbed, literally robbed right at the end there. I'm sorry. Any final thoughts on that?
Horrible irony. VAR not fit for purpose. Should have seen this coming. Should have realised that my boys would behave like a set of absolute arseholes and not stick to the rules. But you know. What are you going to do on a different day? Maybe we'd have got away with it.
Maybe you'd have got away with it. On a different day in the 1800s, before cameras, it could have been yours. It could have been your 4-1 victory rather than Sam's 1-0 victory. Sam, unbelievably, congratulations. You have beaten Jim Campbell, who actually knows a lot about football. That's a great turnout.
Crime doesn't pay, Robin.
That's
all I have to say.
That's it.
Well, ladies and gents, thank you so much for listening. Before we go any further, Jim, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. You host a podcast as well, The Football Ramble. Tell us all about that.
I do. Yes, so it's called the Football Ramble, as we've already established. We've been doing it for a long time now. This is right up our street. Our favourite things about football are just how silly it is, just the fun, mad things that happen within the game, and it's not all serious and tacticsy. Sometimes when it needs to be serious and tacticsy, it can be. But yeah, you can check us out wherever you get your podcast. We got the Football Ramble. We've got another feed as well, Football Ramble Presents, where we do all kinds of interesting creative stuff as well. So yeah, give us a listen.
Give Jim's podcast a listen and let us know what you thought of today's teams or the result on social media. You can find us as ever on @NoiseNextDoor on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we would just love to hear from you. A massive thanks as ever to our incredible producer Paul, who makes us sound wonderful. Please do follow Fantasy 5 on your preferred podcast provider and give us a 5-star review if that is something you can do.
Next week, we get to the most intense match I think that will ever be played in life. Cats versus dogs.
I can't wait for that. So, everybody, we will see you then. But until then, it's time for us to hit the showers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Officer John McClane has been found dead in the showers, and let me tell you how. McClane has long been sexually unsatisfied by the fractured marriage to his wife. Upon hearing there was some pussy in the showers, he ventured in only to find out it was none other than Top Cat. Frustrated by this, McClane was about to leave. That's when he came face to face with Blackbeard, a man so covered in facial fuzz that the increasingly balding McClane had an instant jealousy boner and collapsed on the spot.
What are you saying, Poirot?
I'm saying he died hard.